What's going on, guys? Welcome back. We are here on day 29, and I didn't say anything yesterday, but you guys are probably wondering, like, bro, what happened to your face? Well, again, I'm in the Army Reserve, so when that time comes, I got to go ahead and knock off the beard, y'all. But it is me, okay? But I'm so glad you guys are back. Remember, if you have not done the reading, pause the video, pause the audio, go and do the reading, come on back. I will be right here. And we're going to go ahead and go into Proverbs chapter 29, verse 1. And I'm going to be primarily in the book of Proverbs, actually, this time around, or at least in this chapter. So Proverbs chapter 29, verse 1 says this: whoever stubbornly refuses to accept criticism will suddenly be destroyed beyond recovery. Proverbs 29, verse 5 says this: to flatter friends is to lay a trap for their feet. You ever meet someone who doesn't know how to take criticism? How frustrating that can be for us. You're trying to develop them or grow them, whether it's a friend or a coworker or an employee. Maybe it's your supervisor. Maybe your kids, you're trying to talk to your parents. Parents, you're trying to talk to your kids. Or maybe spouse, you're trying to talk to your spouse. And in any relational dynamic, it's really frustrating when someone refuses to accept criticism, isn't it? And not only is it hard to say it, sometimes we're so afraid that we just say the thing that they want to hear just to kind of keep them on our side. Well, listen to what verse 5 says in this. Chapter 29, verse 5 says, to flatter friends is to lay a trap for their feet. And so I think of American Idol or America's Got Talent or The Voice. When you think of any of those shows, there's always that one person that comes on and the parent or the friend's like, oh my gosh, the judges are going to say this. Just wait until you hear what they have to say. Just wait until you hear their voice. Wait until you see their talent. And they go out there, and if it's America's Got Talent, they hit the X button, or, they get booed or whatever, and they start to give them feedback. What ends up happening? They walk off the stage all disappointed. The parents are like, you would be sorry you didn't choose them. It's like, you guys are terrible parents. You guys are terrible friends. But that's essentially what the Proverbs is talking about. That's what I think of. How do you do when receiving criticism? And I want to teach you something real quick. When it comes to receiving criticism, remember what we talked about back in Proverbs 9. Remember those two questions. What do you mean by that? Can you give an example? When you're asking somebody for feedback, because it's so easy to get defensive, our only job, remember, is to ask, what do you mean by that? And can you give an example? That already shows if you're mature or if we're being stubborn. Let's go to Proverbs 29, verse 8. It says this: mockers can get a whole town agitated, but the wise, they will calm anger. I had a great hospital commander. His name was Colonel Crossland, now General. And she had this statement I loved. I was in the middle of a meeting one time, and the people in the room were getting frustrated with this one individual because of a decision that took place. And so Colonel Crossland, I remember, just stopped, and she went, well, let me ask you, is this the first time that they did it? And they said, yeah, that's not something, they don't typically have a history or track record of making wrong decisions. And something she said I appreciated was, she said, guys, I'm all for making mistakes. Just make a new mistake. And she said it just like that, just even kill, just super chill, very poised. She always spoke with clarity, precision, and she spoke to you and not at you. And more than anything else, she just had a calm assertiveness. And I remember that being that really spoke to me. Here I am, I'm a new captain, and there's this colonel, which is one rank below a general. She wasn't getting agitated with what was going on. She just spoke back with truth, and it just commanded clearly and calmly the room back. There was this billboard sign I remember seeing years ago too. It was actually during the year of COVID. And it said, panic is contagious, but so is calm. And it's just a reminder that we have a choice. We have a choice in how we respond to certain things. Let's go to verse 11. Fools vent their anger, but the wise quietly hold it back. Proverbs 29, verse 20. There is more hope for a fool than for someone who speaks without thinking. I quoted these verses together because I think there's something to be said about people who withhold their thoughts in real time. People who know how to quietly hold them back are typically the same people who think before they speak. I love individuals who know how to think before they speak, because let's be real about something. Lots of times what I've learned over the years, it's not so much what we say, but it's how you say it. And not just how you say it, but when you say it. I have sat in rooms when we as a group of people, we're trying to address something, whether it's towards a person, maybe it's an issue or a group, and it's towards a certain situation. And that one person says something that everyone is thinking, what they said is right. But also what they said was rude. And if we're being real, if we're actually just wanting to say what we want to say right off the cuff, or off the top of our head, sometimes it's actually not so much to be right, we're just being mean. So people who like to be right, they're so fixed on being right at the expense of those that they are called to serve. So I'll say it like this. If you say the right thing in the wrong way at the wrong time, you're wrong. I'll say it again. If you say the right thing in the wrong way at the wrong time, you're wrong. Wise people aren't seeking to be the first to say something. They seek to bring clarity and understanding to an individual or a situation. And part of how you do that is the delivery, the method, the timing. It's no different than having a nice good cup of hot coffee and we go, this is really good, have some. And I just want to throw it and chuck it in your face. Or the same thing with a bottle of water, right? I'm getting hydrated and I go, hey, you want some? And I just chuck it at you. It's not that the coffee isn't good. It's not that the water isn't good, but you can't enjoy it because I toss it at you. And we can tend to do that with our words. Wise people quietly hold back. It's not a, see, I could have said more, but I didn't. No. They quietly don't make a scene and they think about what they're going to say before they say it. Proverbs 29 verse 12 says this, we're going to keep moving. If a ruler pays attention to liars, all his advisors will be wicked. Remember what we talked about yesterday. We defined and identified what it means to be wicked. And wicked people are what? Ungodly, they're self-centered, they're proud, or they demonstrate atheistic behavior. The Tree of Life version says it like this. It says, if a ruler listens to lies, all his servants will be wicked. So here's what I love about this proverb. It's saying you are who you surround yourself with. If you're in a position of leadership or influence, who are you influencing? Or who is influencing you? You keep listening to ungodly people, you'll become ungodly. You keep following self-centered folk, you're going to become self-centered. It's a question of who has your ear. There's an old saying that goes, you are the sum average of the top 5 people you spend your time with. So who are your top 5 people? And let's just form all of that in a question. Are they ungodly? Are they proud? Are they self-centered? Are they pointing you towards the things of God, or are they shifting you away from the things of God? And here's how you know if they are of the Lord or not. Guys, what's their fruit look like? Remember Galatians, Galatians 5. There we go, 5:22, verse 22 through 23. The fruit of the Spirit is what? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Are the top 5 people that you are close with, do they have any of that? Are they loving? Do they display joy? Are they patient? Are they patient with their kids? Are they patient with their spouse? If they're a teacher, how do they treat their students? Like, are you patient with your team? Are you patient with your supervisors? Supervisors, are you patient with your employees? Are the people that you surround yourself with, are they kind? Here's the ultimate test, by the way, of someone if they have the fruit of the Spirit. How do they treat people that have less power than them? So how do they treat the waiter or the waitress? How do they treat the custodians? How do they treat the homeless? That job or role or position that you think is not as good as yours, how do they treat them? Because that's their fruit. Proverbs 29 verse 13 says this, the poor and the oppressor have this in common. The Lord gives sight to the eyes of both. And here's what I love about this one proverb. It tells us that God shows no partiality. God has no favorites. He's basically saying, I'm going to give insight to anyone who's willing to listen. That the Lord is willing to give wisdom to either side, but it requires humility on both ends. It requires humility to want to receive God's insight. Another version says that he gives light to both people. He shows no favoritism. Look at 29 verse 21. A servant pampered from childhood will become a rebel. And this honestly ties into what we chatted about a couple of days ago when we talked about laziness. Remember, pampered people become entitled people. This is why I was laying this out so heavy the other day. because spoiled people over time become entitled people. And here's the reality. We don't deserve anything, guys. We don't deserve anything. I've actually learned to take that out of my vocabulary. Years ago, I had a soldier that got promoted, and she asked me to pin her, meaning to promote her. I got to take off her old rank and put on the new one. And I remember I made this speech in front of everybody, and I told her, I said, you don't deserve this. You don't. And I said that on purpose to kind of, and I paused there. I didn't go any further, kind of gave it a couple second pause in between to let it sit, because there's other higher ranking officers in there. There's majors and lieutenant colonels. There's senior non-commissioned officers, so like sergeant first class and master sergeants. And I just said, you don't deserve this. You earned it. You worked your tail off to get to where you're at. And with that, in addition to it, God decided to bless you with it. That's the same for us. No one owes you anything. Like, how arrogant of us. You don't deserve anything. I don't deserve anything. We don't deserve anything. We can earn it, and even when we do, it's still God's love on his end to bless you with it. Don't lose sight of that. As much as the Lord can bless you with it, he can easily just take it back. Let's go to verse 25. Proverbs 29, verse 25 says this. Fearing people is a dangerous trap, but trusting the Lord means safety. Statement I heard from the pastor years ago. This really, really set me free. He said, you can't serve someone that you're impressed or intimidated by. I was like, sir, I'm going to need you to say that one again. And here's the statement. You can't serve someone that you're intimidated or impressed by. We wouldn't say it like this, but being intimidated by people or being impressed by people is actually fearing people. It's how we lower our standards, especially within a team or an organization. When we become more about the person instead of trusting God to do a certain thing, we have now elevated that individual above God himself. And this is not saying to not do life with people or not have people on your team. But do you trust them or put your hope in them more than you do in God? Because I know people who have stayed in certain jobs or positions that they hate, or the environment that they don't like, because the reality is they fear the person or the people that they're with instead of trusting the Lord. And it's actually tied into people pleasing. And I have a lot of grace for that, because that's something that I struggle with, so I get it. But when we're impressed by something or intimidated by something, it often keeps us in places longer than we're supposed to, and ends up costing us more than it needed to, simply because we're not trusting the Lord. And that leads us to our wise takeaway today. Our wise takeaway is wise people don't put their trust in man. They trust in the Lord. When you trust in the Lord, God gives you the right words in the hardest of situations. And this goes back to Proverbs 29, verse 8. Remember when it says that mockers can get a whole town agitated? But the wise, like the Colonel Crossings of the world, like I told you about my hospital commander, the wise calm anger. You know how to bring a calm to a situation. When we put all the Proverbs we went over together, a wise person may be amongst a group of people where the majority is going, I'm not going to accept valid criticism. The wise person goes, I'll accept valid criticism. Where the majority goes, I'm going to vent all my anger out. The wise person goes, I'm going to think before I speak. Where the majority goes, my friends are self-centered and they do ungodly things, so I'm going to do it too. The wise person goes, I'm noticing some ungodly and self-centered trends amongst these individuals and in my own life, so I'm going to find some new friends that are more centered around the Lord. That's our wise takeaway. Wise people, they don't just follow the crowd, y'all. Like, they lead it. They don't just adjust to what's going on in the room, kind of like the whole thermometer, as we mentioned before. Remember, thermometers adjust to it, but thermostats change it. But you can't lead culture if you're impressed by it or intimidated by it. And that's why wise people don't put their trust in man. They put their trust in the Lord. Guys, 2 more days. Keep going, keep it moving, keep it pushing. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Later. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you guys have been enjoying this challenge. I want to hear from you. Post in the comments below and let me know what your greatest takeaway is. And please do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe, because it really helps the channel get noticed. Love you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.